My last name is actually pronounced Penchas, which is after a small village in Spain. When I grew up in the States, my classmates used to make jokes on me and call me pinch ass. So that's not my name, it's Penchas. I'll start by introducing Viola, just a few self-marketing slides, and then I'm going to present a little overview about virtual reality and augmented reality landscape and the situation in Israel. And I will complete by giving a few examples of interesting Israeli companies which are in the space. We need those disclaimers, and if anybody really wants to read them, I'll give them to you in a handout later on. Viola is probably Israel's largest private equity and venture capital group, and one of the more veteran ones. We've started working under the Viola name back in 2000, but the core team has been working many years before in the tech industry in Israel. Currently, we manage about $2.5 billion US. We're 15 partners and a team of 80 people in total. Currently, we're exposed to over 100 companies in our portfolio across different subsectors of the Israeli high-tech industry. We operate through a set of different funds. Each fund has a distinct investment strategy, basically covering investments from early-stage tech investments up to public companies which are traded both in Israel and abroad. We have a classic venture capital fund, which invests in IT and communication technologies, which is called Carmel Ventures. We have a unique venture lending fund, which finances high-tech companies through debt financing against interest payments and equity kickers. We have a late-stage growth and private equity fund, which is called Viola Growth. And we have an opportunity fund, which invests in all of the strategies, plus some additional Israeli opportunities. And lately, we joined the group called Eylon, which is a hedge fund investing in long-short publicly traded equities of Israeli companies. For many years, we've been chosen as one of the most promising venture groups with the highest ratio of most promising companies in Israel. And we're very proud that amongst our portfolio are Israel's largest private tech companies with revenues of hundreds of millions of dollars each, which basically says that potentially we have some unicorns in our portfolio, and we're eagerly waiting that NASDAQ will open up again for IPOs, and hopefully we can prove that. We're funded by blue chip global investors from all over the world, mostly US. And over the past 5 years, we've seen a huge amount of money coming in to Israel in general and to our group in specific from Chinese investors. We're partly owned by Goldman Sachs, which purchased a small piece of our master GP a few years back and invests in all of our funds. So a little bit about virtual reality and augmented reality. So what were the earliest attempts in history to create virtual reality, and what was the first appearance in history of augmented reality? So actually, virtual reality is not a new theme. Back in the 19th century, artists tried to create virtual reality by painting panoramic oil paintings of historic events like this Battle of Napoleon trying to conquer Moscow. And these were paintings which were put in round rooms, and the viewer was standing in the middle of the room and had the feeling as if he was in the middle of the battlefield for this, in this case. But since the 19th century, there have been developments, and people have been trying to develop virtual reality applications through various kind of machines. I'm sure everybody knows the stereoscopic kind of glasses that we used as kids with different slides. And the world has developed since then. But obviously, over the past years, especially because of the use of cellular phones as a means to show and to be used in virtual reality machines, this industry has grown very fast. But I believe this is the first event in history where actually augmented reality was used or shown for the first time. And it's not about technology. It's about a power which is much more powerful than that. The first video, please.
I am here.
Put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob.
So unless somebody thinks about an earlier appearance of augmented reality, please let me know. But things have developed, and Hollywood sometimes does foresee the future. So I'm going to show you a spoiler now of what I'm going to show later. The next video, please.
I can capture
We're
that.
running out of time. I was thinking maybe I'd play hooky, stay home today.
Right meeting.
Working too much.
Can you grab that? So clear.
So augmented reality is becoming real. This is a graph which is presented by Gartner to show the hypes of technology. This is the latest research that they've published. And what we actually see here is that augmented reality and virtual reality are not in the top of the peak of expectations anymore. And the reason is that many experiments to deploy and implement virtual reality and augmented reality technologies have failed. But we are seeing initial signs of commercial success and more instances of how these kind of technologies can actually benefit enterprises and consumers. So whereas if you look at this graph a couple of years ago, augmented reality and virtual reality would be on the top of the peak. Now they're way beyond that point. What we're also seeing is that the internet giants and the tech giants of the world are leading this industry, investing huge amounts of money, which I will present in a minute. And following them, there are hundreds of initiatives all over the world to develop VR and AR technologies and applications. So the big players are investing big time. All the known names have made huge investments and acquisitions in this space, buying different platforms and different technologies. And what we're also seeing is that the amount of VC investments done both by traditional venture capital funds and by corporate funds are growing quite fast. And the start of the race was actually the purchase of Oculus by Facebook. And since then, we're seeing growth quarter by quarter of the amount of investment. And currently, we're at a pace of about $500 million on a quarterly basis of investing in this space. There's one unique exclusion, which is Magic Leap, which is a secretive AR company which both Google and Alibaba invested in hundreds of millions of dollars at valuations which are very high. And actually, this has pulled the valuations of the entire industry to numbers which are quite inflated in our view. And as I said, most of the investments are done by traditional VCs and corporate. So what are the recent insights that we see in this industry? Definitely, there's a war going on VR hardware, all those virtual reality glasses that we're seeing. And big players are playing around that. On the augmented reality, we're still way back, although there are some big companies in the horizon like Magic Leap and HoloLens. And as Mark Zuckerberg or on the Gartner graph, as you've seen, we're still 5 to 10 years away until this will become like what we're seeing in virtual reality today. On the video and content, which is crucial for the virtual reality world, we're seeing the big players like Disney and others making more investment, but there's still lack of quality content around that. We're seeing some interesting gaming software and content coming in, but it's still lagging. And usually these games are used only for short experiences. People still feel headaches, nausea when playing around with these things. So there's some more development that needs to be done. And as I've shown, VC money going into this industry is growing steadily. In Israel, there have been around 90 companies that have been formed around AR and VR. Currently, we estimate that there are about 50 active companies, some of which are listed here. We've already seen some exits in the space as well. We were very proud to be big shareholders of a company called Dorad, which was sold to the American company Avid. They produced augmented reality virtual studio technology, which is actually being used a lot now with the American elections. And if you analyze the Israeli industry, you'll roughly see that there are three areas of investment. There are application technologies used in different verticals. There are infrastructure technology companies which develop infrastructure to allow deployment of VR and AR applications, and there are hardware companies. I'm going to present and show you examples of three different companies: Fieldbit, Views, and Move. And after me, there's a presentation by Simagine, which is also listed here. And please forgive me those VR companies which are presenting outside, which I haven't listed here. The pace of investment in Israel is since we've started recording this back in 2014, has been about $170 million. And if we compare it to the percentage of investment going into VR and AR technologies in the American market, we're very close. About 2% of total investment go to this industry. But what we're seeing is that a massive majority of the companies are being funded with small money. So only about 20 companies have raised over $3 million. And you really need huge amounts of investment in these companies to gain traction. And there are two types of opportunities that we see in the market. So there's the evolution of existing technologies like 3D, which have a technology to show sport events in a three-dimensional way. But basically, it's existing technologies, just improving them. Or there's investment in what we call the brave new world. An example is a company called Meta, which is actually developing a whole new platform for developers to develop augmented reality and virtual reality platforms. Where is Israel strong? So there are certain technologies which we are known for, like computer vision, companies like Mobileye, gesture control, PrimeSense, which was acquired by Apple, or military applications, like Elbit developing the pilot helmets, which use augmented reality technologies. And Israel is also strong with ad tech, video, and gaming technologies, and the combination of the two are very relevant for the AR and VR markets. We, as Israeli venture capital funds, are in a big dissonance between our greed to invest in this space and between our fear of investing. Our greed is driven by the fact that there are big players investing huge amounts of money in this industry and buying companies for unbelievable valuations. Obviously, we like that a lot. There's a lot of activity both in Silicon Valley and in China in developing and investing in this industry. And we do see great companies and great technologies. But on the other hand side, a lot of these developments and platforms which are out there are open source. So there's no real way to defend your investment if others are doing the same thing with open source. And we're seeing a lot of business-to-consumer kind of technologies and products which we really don't like. And many of them don't really have commercial traction in the market. So we try to avoid that. And as I said, in order to succeed in this space, you need to invest huge amount of money. So the size of the bet is also an issue. And some people call us stingy, and we're trying to save on our investment. A few examples of Israeli companies which are showing initial traction in the market, and each one is very different from the other. So the first one is a company called Fieldbit, which is augmented reality eyeglasses and software as a service using cloud technology. This is a technology which is used by field engineers and technicians that go out to the field to amend complex systems. So the next video, please. And this is a company with a run rate of a few $1 million already.
Get it right the first time, every time.
Dave, I'm here to install the new probe, but the wires don't match up.
John, send me a picture of the sensor module along with the wires. Got it. Here's an updated table. Insert the white wire in the number 7 slot.
But I'm having trouble putting the analyzer back together.
You're now on video. See my instructions.
Great, it's fixed. Wow, that was quick and easy.
While you're there, have a look at the control valves. The glasses will give you a history of each one, just to make sure everything's okay.
Cool. I'm gonna hold on to these glasses. They really come in handy in a fix.
FieldBit. Get it right the first time, every time.
The next one is a company called Views, which developed a 3D 360-degree camera. A 360-degree camera is not very new, but what they're doing is 3D, and they have an amazing stitching technology, so the result of their 3D 360 photography is amazing. It's a consumer product, which is sold for about $800, gaining some traction and mainly used by either geeks who like this technology or for events like weddings and other things. Next movie, please.
Whoa, best party ever. Views, 3D, 360 degrees virtual reality camera. Capture, relive, and share your moments with Views camera. Views, relive the moment.
What you've seen is actually the way it looks. When you walk around with a camera in a wedding or a party, this is the result you'll get. And coming back to to what I showed about Minority Report, it's happening. So the next one is a company called Move, which developed a natural user interface device, which I'll present now. Next movie, please.
Humans have always pushed the boundaries of innovation. Our first tools, our first machines, and the first time we were touched, we became one. Well, we've created a user interface that will make you feel that all over again. It's called Bird. It's a tiny wearable device that makes any space interactive. It's about being free. It lets you touch, push, pull, swipe, and grab your content from anywhere in the room. And you don't have to think about it. It knows exactly what you mean. What touched it to small screens, Bird will do to big ones. It's about being creative with the finest pixel-perfect precision. And it redefines teamwork with up to 10 people collaborating on one screen. Bird doesn't only work in thin air, it can also turn any surface into a touch surface. So whatever your dream canvas is, Bird can make it happen. It's accurate, simple, and it can also be enhanced with entirely new ideas and applications. The future is happening right now. It's time to be amazed again. Bird, set your ideas free.
Had I known we had such a good audio, video, and stage team, I would have brought in one of these devices to show it live. But I think they deserve a hand as well because they're doing a great job. Thank you very much.